BLM, say what you want, not mostly peaceful. So it got me to thinking a bit about the true character of
Mm-hmm.
people who claim that they're for families and
Right.
children, and then would say something like that. What did happen to the children during all those riots? Children had to have been impacted.
Right.
Schools were closed,
Right.
but they were seeing war in their streets, a war zone.
Yeah. Yeah.
And she was saying, gosh, what an amazing experience that was.
Oh.
You know, it's the prostration. He went to a
Mm-hmm.
BLM mural
Yeah.
that had been painted on the ground and wrote something like "Hope for Justice" or
Right.
something.
Right.
Any pandering. So, in light of the fact that two things have happened recently,
Mm-hmm.
and this just was like put me over the top. Her comment is JD Vance's comment about how the left is run by psychopathic cat women, essentially, childless cat women, and how
Mm-hmm.
the left freaked out over that comment.
Mm-hmm.
That's what was interesting to me.
Yes.
Not that he said it, how
Yes.
they freaked out.
Right.
And so, multiple articles, many, many articles written about that. It comes on the heels of a huge controversy. And I
Mm-hmm.
think these three things are all related.
Well, once again, here is Hormala. She slept her way to the top, and she's proud of it. That's why we call her that. She's really proud of it. Or she wears it like a badge of honor. Ooh. Here's Hormala. This was last night. This about sums up their whole cackly weird walls in the background making all these faces like ooh, like he's super excited to kind of eat her, like he just wants to like get in there and get into the audience and do a mosh pit. It was really really weird, all of his facial expressions. It looked strange. Here's Kamala. Good evening. Good evening. Good evening. I mean, over and over and over again. This was her. It's it's so weird. And like I said, it's the dog king. It's how they humiliated the Norwegians in the 6th century, and it's all about they gave him a dog for a king, dressed him up as a king, and said, "This is your king." And they said, "But it's a dog." And they said, "Yep, it's your king now." It's a humiliation tactic to have to endure these two people. And I don't know that we realize, if you've tried to put your finger on this and say, well, what is, I mean, how do you get a Fetterman in an AOC? I mean, what are we going to get next, right? And so this, it's the dog king humiliation is really what it is from 6th century. That's really what we're looking at. The evolution chart is backwards. We just didn't
Yeah.
realize it.
Well, some people have said this is a throwaway
Yeah.
um,
Yeah.
pairing because
Yes.
he's from the most liberal state.
Yeah.
And is this just to prepare the convention for someone else?
I don't think so. I think they're kind of throwing it, if you ask me. I really do. I think they're throwing it. They didn't want to get somebody more popular than Kamala. I mean, it wouldn't be hard to do. She's the most unpopular woman on earth, but but they had to go get somebody that was unknown, somebody that no one's ever heard of. Nobody ever talks about him. He's a paper bag. I mean, he stands behind her and has a weird Jekyll smile, and that's what he's good for. But this is the tactic. I think they're throwing it. I actually think they're throwing the race. I really do. I know that's going to sound perplexing to a lot of people and weird, but I really think that they're throwing it. Two horrible, horrifying candidates.
Well, their problem is they don't want to lose down ticket.
Yeah.
So they're very, very concerned that
Mm-hmm.
if it's too much of a joke, people won't show up to vote for the state people, the
Mm-hmm.
local Democrats. They don't want to lose down ticket.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't think she could have gone with Governor Shapiro. He's Jewish, but he's very, very bright and he's popular in Pennsylvania. Under normal
Yeah.
conditions, she would have gotten married to a Jewish guy.
Yeah. It would
So,
compete with her Jewish husband, I guess, in his role over in Israel, Iran, I guess.
yeah,
He's
well,
got a big role. People just don't realize that he's her handler, I think.
and look how that's working out for them.
Mm-hmm.
So, this is what we've got, Mr. Milk Toast with Miss
Yeah.
Bizarre,
Yeah.
because she is
Mm.
bizarre.
Yeah.
And that is really how they expect us to. And the air is going out of the balloon, as they say, even in
Mm-hmm.
this first
Yeah.
few days, it should have been much
Well,
more euphoria.
yeah.
But the air is already going out of her
The
balloon because
Mhm.
of the exposure
Yeah.
her past comments are getting.
The only ones that have euphoria to a really weird, like taking speed extent are Hormala and Walz. I mean, they're the only ones on stage trying to give it some energy. Everyone else is kind of flat. They're not. They could hardly get a crowd. They don't have a crowd, and it wouldn't surprise me if they AI'd a crowd in, just like they did with Hillary green screen
Yeah, yeah,
2016.
and influencers are now saying that they're getting contacted by her team,
Mm-hmm.
contacted by the Secret Service. Can we come on and have a discussion about politics? And this one black guy, he's like, heck no. He's got 13 million followers,
Mm-hmm.
but he's like, you
Yeah.
didn't reach out to me before. Now you're reaching out. I have no interest,
Right.
and he
They're
used a
too
lot of
weird. They're
profanity.
too weird for their own weird bunch. I mean, it's like that's why I think they're kind of throwing it. It's gonna get strange. And on the we'll talk more about this. We have a couple of subjects to bring up with Susan. She's got some great stuff, by the way. But Egypt is telling the airlines to avoid Tehran. If I was in Iran, I don't think I would be flying anywhere. I don't know if I'd be flying anywhere in or out of the Middle East right now, close to those little zones. But there's a lot of activity going on over there. We've got this distraction, Kakali Hormala and her weird Jekyll sidekick. So, yeah, it's the Dog King. We're being presented with a humiliation tactic right now, the worst of the worst. Yep, they're on stage. Be right back with Susan Reeve. Don't go anywhere. Kate Daly Show.
Thanks for listening to The Kate Daly Show. All opinions expressed by the program participants on The Kate Daly Show are solely their own and do not necessarily